I was scuba diving in Mexico when my instructor cut my oxygen line 40 feet underwater. He smiled at me through his mask as my air started disappearing. It was supposed to be the trip of a lifetime, my best friend's bachelor party. 5 guys in Cancun for a week of beaches and adventure before he tied the knot. The diving company had hundreds of excellent reviews online. The instructor seemed completely professional during the safety briefing. His name was Eduardo. Big friendly smile, firm handshake, exactly the kind of guy you trust with your life. We took the boat out early that morning. The water was crystal blue and the weather was perfect. Eduardo helped each of us gear up carefully, double-checking all our equipment. Then we descended beneath the surface. The coral reef was absolutely stunning. Tropical fish everywhere in colors I had never seen before. I was completely mesmerized by the underwater world. About 20 minutes into the dive, I felt a hand grab my air tank from behind. I spun around in the water. Eduardo was floating right there. He had a diving knife in his hand. Before I could do anything, he reached past my shoulder and sliced something connected to my back. Then he smiled at me. Actually smiled through his diving mask. I tried to take a breath. Nothing came through the regulator. Just empty nothing. My oxygen line had been cut completely through. Panic exploded through every cell of my body. I was 40 feet underwater with absolutely no air supply. Eduardo just floated there watching me, made no move to help at all, just watched me struggle with that horrible smile still on his face. My lungs started burning within seconds. I looked around desperately for my friends. They had swum ahead along the reef and weren't looking back. Nobody could see what was happening to me. Then I remembered something from the safety briefing that morning. Buddy breathing. Every diver carries a backup regulator on their vest. Eduardo's backup was clipped right to his chest. I lunged at him with everything I had, grabbed the backup regulator from his vest, jammed it into my mouth before he could react. Air flooded back into my burning lungs. Eduardo's eyes went wide with complete shock behind his mask. He clearly never expected me to fight back. He shoved hard at my chest, but I held onto his vest with an iron grip. I was not letting go. I grabbed his arm with my free hand and started swimming upward, dragging him with me toward the surface. He fought hard against me the whole way, but I was bigger and stronger than him, and I was fighting for my actual life. We broke the surface together. I screamed for the boat as loud as I possibly could. The captain came running to the side immediately. My friends surfaced seconds later, confused and absolutely terrified by my screaming. I gasped out the whole story between breaths. The knife, the deliberately cut line, Eduardo just floating there watching me drown without lifting a finger. Eduardo started shouting in rapid Spanish, called me crazy and paranoid, claimed the whole thing was just an accident. The boat captain climbed down and examined my severed oxygen hose very carefully. Then he looked at the perfectly clean slice through the rubber. Then he looked at the knife still in Eduardo's hand. That cut is no accident, he said quietly but firmly. He radioed the Coast Guard immediately. Back on shore an hour later, police officers were already waiting at the dock. They put Eduardo in handcuffs right there in front of everyone. The detective interviewed me for nearly 3 hours. Then he revealed something that made my blood run cold. I wasn't the first victim. 6 months earlier, a tourist from Canada died on one of Eduardo's dives. The death was ruled an accidental drowning due to equipment failure. 3 years before that, another tourist almost drowned with Eduardo as instructor. That man survived but was too traumatized to ever report what really happened. The police had suspected Eduardo for months. They just lacked the solid evidence they needed. Now they had my testimony and my severed hose. I flew back to Mexico 4 months later to testify at his trial. The prosecutor revealed Eduardo had been receiving payments from a local cartel. They wanted tourists scared away from certain beaches used for drug smuggling. Eduardo wasn't killing randomly. He was a hired weapon. The jury convicted him in 40 minutes. The judge sentenced him to 25 years. No parole. I haven't been in the ocean since that day, but Eduardo will never hurt anyone again.